We will go now to a rather speedy session with different pitches from 6 institutions, providing project ideas and the potential, the start for the creation of a consortium, for example. So don't hesitate to contact, and this can be taken up later also on the conversation starter. So I will invite one by one. You have 4, let's say 5 minutes. We saved 5 minutes from Gabriela. Thanks, Gabriela, for that.
Thank you. Do I share? Oh, yes. Yeah, so my name is Gleason. Working in the Dutch Institute for Fundamental Energy Research, which is based in Eindhoven. Next slide, please. So this pitch is directly related to the topic in Cluster 5 on direct atmospheric carbon capture and conversion. And the main key points I took away from the documentation that's available on this cluster already, it's a low TRL level ending at TRL 4 or 5, so primarily lab-based. Estimated budget in the region of 2 to 3 million euros, so capable of supporting perhaps 4 to 5 research participants active in the project. And the emphasis on the text is on conversion, which is, to my knowledge, relatively new in the context of CO2 capture from air. I mean, there are ongoing work, people are attempting to do direct conversion from industrial CO2, but I've not seen any efforts, and this is perhaps the novel aspect in this research project. Also important is that it's an emphasis on elimination, so not utilization. So there must really be conversion. Next slide, please. Just to give you a brief overview of what DIFR is currently doing in relation to direct air capture. We're involved in a project with a small startup company based in Eindhoven, which is developing a DAC prototype. And this is conventional DAC. You capture CO2 and provide a CO2 stream, primarily for storage, but it can be for utilization, but that would be downstream. DIFR's focus within this project is on reducing the energy penalty associated with the regeneration. So in a lot of generally speaking, within DAC projects, a high portion of the cost and the energy penalty is related to the regeneration of the capture material. And this is due to the fact that you use a strong binding agent to capture CO2 from air because the input stream is so dilute. So if you then use that energy for conversion, that's probably quite a smart thing to do because you are paying a high penalty in any event. If as part of paying that penalty, you can get a conversion step of CO2 to a more useful project, that would be highly beneficial. Next slide, please. So to give you a brief idea of what proposal we have in mind, we are in contact with a Portuguese research group, and they have developed a molecular catalyst for CO2 conversion. So this is a homogeneous conversion within a solvent phase. What we would like to do is have a project where we explore functionalization of a material and to use that catalyst as the capture agent in that material. And with photoirradiation, realize conversion of the CO2 to CO, or perhaps depending on how the catalysis goes, methane. But we primarily would imagine having photo conversion to CO as a product coming out. So in this case, you get the requirement of the call to do direct regeneration as part of the capture process. Your regeneration is effectively realized by your catalytic conversion of CO2 to CO. Next slide, please. So just in terms of what we would be interested in hearing from, obviously we would be interested in hearing it from any party who would like to be involved in the development of DAC processes. But specifically in relation to this project, we would be interested in hearing from research groups specializing in functionalization of materials. So how can we best fix the molecular catalyst that we have onto a material that can be used as a solid support within the DAC process. Our involvement with the Dutch company here, the process they're developing is intended for continuous operation rather than batch mode. So it's based on thin films. So if all goes well, we would like to link a project here with the prototype that they are developing, but that is not a prerequisite. This company would certainly be interested in a project in any event because they're interested in DAC processes and in developments that would make DAC more commercially viable. And obviously, we're also interested in commercial partners who would either be interested in device development or would be potential end users for a viable DAC process that was providing a usable output product. And that's my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael, on time. I will directly give the floor to José Ramon Galan from the Institute of Chemical Research of Catalonia.
Thank you very much. And thank you particularly the organizers of this meeting, CO2 Value Europe and SUNERGY. I am JR, Galan Mascaros from ICIQ. And in this speech, first I would like to share with you what we can offer and then what we can look for beyond some project ideas that I will share with you later. So our institution has a long experience in European funded projects. We have been collaborating in large projects, even coordinating some of them. And we have a broad expertise in materials processing and characterization, from the very synthesis to the material up to the implementation of the material into an actual device. And also we have a device, of course, lab scale device and validation. And particularly we have been devoted to the field of solar fuels. So we have quite some experience in matching the performance and features of renewable energy plants or systems with electrochemical or photochemical production. Of course, what we lack is what we are looking for. Of course, we would like to first to find partners to share ideas and bring successful programs, and particularly end users, industrial partners, and also partners with expertise in scaling up. As this is now a new important part of EIC, looking into the exploitation of the results. This is why we make some stress on the importance of bringing into the board end users for the tentative technology. Next slide, please. I wanted to share with you some ideas. These are general ideas because once for a proposal, I think everybody needs to contribute, and the good proposals are always the result of a good collaboration and a good interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary approach. So these are just ideas where we can offer some expertise. Of course, one of the things we are really interested in photoelectrochemical devices for the production of solar fuels based on CO2. And in this case, one of the challenges is essentially the selectivity and efficiency towards the desired product. We can share with you that we have recently developed PEC devices with high efficiency in CO2 transformations, and we look forward to improve in that area, although we also have quite experience in the OER, oxygen evolution reaction, and also photovoltaics integration. Next slide. Another possibility for CO2 sustainable production of fuels and chemicals would be to substitute this OER, the oxygen evolution reaction or water splitting, by other reaction that is also creating an added value chemical, like in this example, for example, to realize a device able to at the same time oxidize methane to methanol and reduce CO2 to methanol, for example. So both semi-reactions in the device would give a added value chemical as a product, and not like in most electrolyzers, where one of the semi-reactions is lost, typically producing oxygen. So I think those are my 3.5 minutes, and the next slide, it's only to tell you thank you. If anything I mentioned sounds interesting to you, please don't hesitate to contact me. And if I am not the right expert, I will forward you to the right expert in our institution, because we are a chemical institution and we have many interesting things to offer. I'm looking for strong collaboration. Thank you very much.
Thank you too, Jose, and also for staying on time. I will jump directly to Eduard Boras from LATAT in Spain.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Eduard Forrest from LATAT. We are a research center working on applied research, also located in Spain. And today I will present some of the capacities that we have around the CCU.
Eduard, I'm sorry, we cannot hear you very well.
No, sorry. I got closer to the microphone now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, much better. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening with the Zoom, but the last two webinars that I had problems with the microphone.
Okay.
So if we can move to the next slide. So I have just prepared a very brief presentation to give you an overview of which is our expertise around the CCU and the CCES concepts, and our let's say our main areas of expertise around the development of materials, development of conversion processes around using microorganisms, and the development of process using photo and electrocatalysis. When it comes to projects, that we are different research groups working around the CCU and the CCES technologies. My colleagues in the industrial biotechnology group are coordinating the H2020 Biocon CO2 project, which is around the conversion of CO2 from iron and steel industries using different microbial platforms. Concretely, we are working on the production of PHP and production of alcohols using fermentations and electrofermentations. Also, the colleagues from the materials department are also coordinating the Genesis project. Is also another EU-funded project, and it's around the capture of CO2 also from iron and steel, and they are working on the development of different membranes. And also we are working on the development of different photocatalysts in the flow photochem project. It's also an H2020 project that started right here. And we have also some expertise around the biofuels production from CO2 that we have been working on some national projects, smart green gas and the power to biomethane. And now we are working on the EU fund project, the Robinson, that will be deployed in a larger scale in a pilot. And we will start in the coming months new projects, Nefertiti and Vivaldi, where we will work on, in Nefertiti, my colleagues will work on flow chemistry, and in Vivaldi we will work around complementary technologies for the CO2 conversion. And if I go to more detailing the capacities that some groups in our center that we can offer you and try to build some ideas around them. So when it comes to capture and separation, we have been developing different membranes for CO2 capture and separation from other streams as biogas or exhaust gases from the different industries. Also, we have expertise in the development of ceramic membranes that can work with that high temperature and are offered quite a reliable selectivity. Also, we have expertise in incorporating nanofibers and metallic organic frameworks on membranes. And also a group of research in membranes have expertise also in applying them in electrolyzers, fuel cells, and battery separators. Also, for the capture, the people in the biotechnology research group is working with carbonic anhydride to capture CO2 and fix it in liquid streams. And when it comes to the conversion of CO2, particularly the group of circular economy where I work, we work with different microbial cell platforms to convert that CO2 into PHB, bulk chemicals, and the cultivation of different microorganisms. Also, we have expertise on the photo and electrocatalysis to convert CO2. And we also have the capacity to develop a specific catalyst and 3D metal printed electrodes. And we also have experience in the use of CO2 for the synthesis of polymers. And maybe it's a side technology, the hydrogen production, but it can be linked and it can bring some ideas to build new project concepts around it. We are also working on the production of green hydrogen and working on different technologies for storing hydrogen using metal organic frameworks and LOHCs, also and using membranes for the separation of hydrogen. You can move to the next slide. Here I have just listed some of the main relevant topics that we are interested. Just to mention that we feel comfortable in working in TRL ranging from 3 to 6, and we will be happy to discuss with you around some ideas around the technical capacities that we have in these topics. Maybe we can share these ideas afterwards. And I think that is all from my side. Thank you for the opportunity to share our potential collaborations in these topics.
Thank you very much, Edward. Let me give the floor to Armel Domas from Doma, most probably from CEA.
Yeah, hello everybody. Can you hear me?
We can hear you very well.
Okay, so hello, my name is Armel, I'm working for CEA, and I'm going to present you some routes for CO2 conversions we are developing at CEA. They will be presented according to their technological readiness level. The aim is to be able for you to position this technology with regards to the coming calls in the frame of CCU and in the frame of the production of neutral and even carbon negative fuels. Starting as you see, next slide, please. As you can see on this slide, starting from different resources, renewable energy and let's say raw materials such as biomass and waste, for example, we intend to produce molecules and fuels. And to this purpose, we are developing different technological components. So on the first block, this is the electrochemistry block. You will see that we are developing electrolysis. We focus on SOEC. This means high temperature electrolysis, and this technology is at the stage of demonstration, and even a technological transfer is ongoing at CEA. Regarding co-electrolysis, it's a promising technology and it is currently being validated at lab scale at CEA. Photoelectrolysis is also a very promising route, but it is in an earlier phase of development through PhDs and also European projects. Regarding other technology, the thermochemical processes, we are also investigating different technologies depending on resources. Their stage of developments vary depending on the technology you're referring to. For example, for torrefaction and pyrogasification also, it has been extensively investigated at CEA, and we have a set of facilities where we're working at, let's say, pre-industrial scale. In a continuous way, and the idea is to test different resources and to design and adjust processes depending on the produce you want at the end. Regarding hydrothermal processes, hydrothermal liquefaction or gasification, these are in an earlier phase of development. They target to value wet resources and it's less mature, and it is developed at smaller scales, at lab scale for the moment. Then we come to thermocatalytic reactors. Their range of TRL also varies depending on the technology and the fuel you intend to produce. Let's say for liquid organic carrier, we can estimate we are somewhere around 2 and 3 to 4. For methane production, we have a wide range of TRL because in some European projects like CO2, SNG, Jupiter 1000 and Store and Go projects, we can consider we are mature with a scale of 500 kilowatts. And we now intend to focus on new designs, that is to say new structures of reactors and possibly millistructures reactor. Our intention is to, let's say, diversify the offer in terms of geometry, scales, and also manufacturing process. The ultimate target, of course, is to decrease CapEx and OpEx. And these developments are now done at smaller scale, and we would be happy to continue to investigate this in the frame of the New Horizon Europe project. For methanol and olefin production, We intend to innovate also in design and integration of catalysts, even membranes, to manage water issues. So we would be happy to engage this with partners, especially for the calls targeting direct atmospheric carbon capture and also the hybrid catalytic conversion of renewable energy to carbon neutral fuels. I think we can go to the next slides, please. So this is just another way to sum up what I have already presented. This is done from a different perspective in terms of scales, from the level of components to a systemic vision. In fact, we intend to consolidate and offer a systemic approach, but as mentioned, this has to be done first based on the development of disruptive components. For example, I can mention high temperature gasification process, or the integration and test of innovative catalysts and membranes, or let's say the identification of high added value molecules from torrefaction processes. We strive to integrate these blocks and to assess them from a technical economic point of view, based on also LCA methodology. And we have consolidated over the years huge skills in process evaluation and energy integration. So this slides to remind you that we intend to develop all these components in a systematic approach and to process, provide coupling in all these technologies. And on the right side of the slide, you will see some projects that we have coordinated or participated in. So there are Store and Go, Jupiter 1000, Heat to Fuel. And regarding the biomass to gas or liquids, we participate in CIRMET projects. And we are also coordinating the pulp and fuel project. So we are open for collaboration and ideas, and I am at your disposal if you have questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Armelle. Last pitch for this session would be from Jennifer Shaw Taberle from Accelera.
Thank you very much, Anastasios. Thank you to the other speakers for the beautiful presentations. So we can move to the next slide. So we are interested in a CSA call, which is designed to help CCUS hubs to emerge across Europe. So if we just look quickly at the call topic, we see that some of the key issues are close cooperation across the CCUS value chain with local stakeholders, including a great number of stakeholders. So this is something we're looking for our project, is more stakeholders, including companies, ports, industry parks, solution providers, but also those who have analyzed the different considerations that would allow us to de-risk CCUS solutions in the eyes of industry. So both in the eyes of CO2 emitters, but also in the eyes of CO2 users. So we're interested in including people interested in all sectors, especially the chemical sector, and knowledge sharing. So using a knowledge platform to enable any local industry park, for example, to invest in CCUS infrastructure and share the costs with the local stakeholders in a rational way. So the main expected results are to demonstrate the necessary requirements for CCUS integration in carbon-intensive industries to enable pragmatic knowledge sharing, leading to low risk and reasonable costs for the first movers. So if we move to the next slide. So here we have an example of the type of hub that we might see, where you have emitters who are either in an industry park, and one part of our project would like to focus on this case where the emitters are very close by, so that they could potentially invest in pipelines and CO2 capture that they would share. And then also consider how we can move this CO2 to the users, whether they be close by or maybe some of them even up to 100 kilometers away, for example. And then how can we also make the best, most rational use of storage? Thank you. We can move to the next slide. So here's who we have so far. We have begun with industry parks because we think that these could be a good way to make CCUS hubs emerge, and it would be easier than in a case of distributed industries where each factory is 100 kilometers from the other factories. So we have 2 industry parks in the south of Norway. One which is the Herøya Industry Park, which is close-knit and which is looking into potentially investing in CO2 infrastructure. And then we also have a distributed industry park there, which is producing various metals. Then we have Brightlands, which is a partner who is located within the largest chemical region within Europe, which spans 3 countries, so the south of the Netherlands, a part of Belgium, and also a part of Germany. And so this would, of course, raise the question of how can we share CO2 infrastructure and move CO2 across borders. Then we also have Accelera, which is a cluster of 367 members who are working together for the decarbonization, the depollution, and the climate neutrality. I already said that. The circularization of industry. We have the chemical and materials industries in our cluster. And we are, so this chemical valley moves down from Lyon, starts in Lyon, and then there's also another large industry park in the port of Marseille. So we would like to look into how we might be able to have CCU, especially in Lyon, both CCU and CCS at the port of Marseille. Some of our members have already been looking into very specific sites which would be feasible for storage of CO2 in the Mediterranean Sea. Of course, in Norway, I forgot to mention, but obviously the Northern Lights project is probably the most advanced CCS project in Europe and in the world. And so that's clearly in Norway, industry parks are looking into building CO2 infrastructure in general for CCS, but also since they're so advanced with CCS, it also could facilitate CCU there. And then we also have another industry park in Italy. So we could think of a hub in the north with storage in the North Sea, and then also a hub in the south with storage in the Mediterranean Sea, but also use in any case, in both cases. So thank you. Now the expected project outcomes, what we would like to do by the end of our CSA project is to be able to reach concrete CCUS investment decisions in these hubs, because we will have set up concrete methodology to facilitate arriving at these investment decisions. So thanks to knowledge support, business models, information about which technology to select given this different situation within each industry park, how to ensure that these solutions are scalable. Oh, thank you, Anastasios. How to make sure these solutions are scalable. For example, Herøya Industry Park is thinking about building CO2 infrastructure to attract companies there. So what if they do attract companies there and in 20 years they double in size? What do they need to do now to make sure that those CO2 infrastructures are scalable? Interdependencies with other strategic technologies. For example, can we create value with hydrogen, which also needs to build similar infrastructures and which can also be a useful raw material for CCU? All right, also the difficulties of incorporating CO2 as a raw material by users will be taken into account. Storage issues, including legislation, business models, and CO2 specifications for different uses. Okay, I think that's all I had to say. So now you just have my contact details on the final slide. Thank you very much for your attention. Please feel free to contact me or Christoph, who is at Industrial Green Tech in the south of Norway. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jen, and thank you all the pitches.